Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Hi, guys. So thanks so much for coming out tonight. We're going to get ready to start our youth market show here tonight. These kids have put in a lot of time and effort to prepare their stuff. Some of them are breeding that they've grown themselves. So tonight they're here to show off all the hard work they've done. Hopefully each exhibitor here tonight will end up having an animal in our sale. So another opportunity for you guys to come out and support our youth is to come on Saturday. Please, bid on the animals, purchase animals. We also have an add-on option if you guys would like to support in a way without having to take some meat home. But thank you guys so much for coming out. Enjoy the show, and we hope you enjoy the fair.
So our Class 1 is in the show ring right now. If we could get Class 2 to meet in between the two barns, we need Delana Bryant, Desmond Grogan, Elizabeth Schubel, Preston Clark, and J.C. Inskeep. Those lambs weigh between 97 and 108 pounds. Our judge for this week is Mr. Terry Burks. He's from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He is a retired professor of English studies from Cheerfunk University in China. He's a former owner of Dynasty Club Lambs and Market Goats, and he has a bachelor's and master's degree of animal science from Western Kentucky University, and he has judged over 1,100 shows in 43 states. So if we can give him a warm welcome to the Great Frederick Fair.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be back with you this afternoon as we start into our Market Lamb show on a nice set of little lightweights when we get them out here, and obviously quite a bit of variation. A lot of these lambs really need a few more days on feed to feel real comfortable about harvest quality in these guys. But I think what the deciding factor in that top pair is the young lady's lamb that's going to win the class. Just has more muscle shape today. This one's fresher on his top side. He squares up nicer out to his loin edge, and he's got a touch more rack when you get into him. Kind-wise, I like the lamb in second better. He's taller fronted. He's one is really a tremendously long top, long hip one. Gets a little off in his rump. He's just a little bit too flat and angular out of the top side of his skeleton today. If I could fix him up just a little bit there, we could sure move that one up. Real attractive green-made kind of weather. It's going to come in third. This guy's one is obviously, he's kind of got one of those wicked pelts on him, and so he doesn't shear smooth when you get into him. But here's one that's just simply got more muscle, more handling quality, more cutability than the pair of lambs that are going to balance the class. Young lady's lamb, it's going to come next. That one just has an advantage in muscularity and squareness at top and chest floor when you get into that sheep over the one the young man's got on the end. Young man's lamb, not a bad sheep. One that just handles a little softer today. One that gets too A-framed in his top. Great way to start the evening. Congratulations, young people.
Results on our first class of market lambs. First place, Michaela Eckenrode. Second place, Michaela Eckenrode. Third place, Delana Bryant. Fourth place, Samara Royal. And fifth place, Joshua Royal. Reading down your program, it is scratch, 5, 3, 4, 1, and 2. Our next class in the show ring is class 2. These lambs weigh between 97 and 108. If we can get class 3 to meet in the middle of the barn, we need Gracie Stevens, Madison Stolberg, Madison Peterson, Lyric Allen, Morgan Williams, and Trenton Latham. Just a reminder to all the youth, all the first and second place are going to be kept in these holding pens. And then after you show, and if this is the animal you're going to sell on Saturday, please go up to the top barn and get your picture taken by Wolf's Auctions. She has the sales sheets for you. And once you fill out your sales sheet, that sales sheet is going to go back up to Kelly, who's up in the top barn with Wolf Auctions.
Really got a high-quality pair on the top end of the class. The young lady's lamb is going to win the thing. Just so much more massive in terms of muscularity. That thing is huge racked when you get into him. I love the loin edge in this guy. He really gets around the weather in second in terms of pin width and natural shape down through his stifle. He's the heavier bone, stouter featured one. Now, I appreciate the young man's lamb in second. Longer bodied, longer hind saddle. Love the front end in this guy in terms of being really good chested and tall fronted. He just needs a little time. I think this weather, if we had him up to about 120, 130 pounds, he'd kind of be the cat out here. He's just a little bit green when you get your hands on him today, but got some quality to him. The Dorper weather sure got great shape when you get on the top side of this guy. Love him through his rack. He's got a good loin edge in him. He's one that gets just a little coarser. He opens a little more in his shoulder. He doesn't have the balance and cutability that we see in the top pair, but a really high-quality sheep to be dropping third. Lamb, it's going to come forth. Just really green, sweetie. That one just needs more time more than anything else. That's going to be a real high cutability sheep from a standpoint of harvest today. Just got to freshen him to his loin edge and square him up there. The white lamb that's going to balance the class, pretty dehydrated as he comes today, and you can see that in his hide. He's the greenest, hardest topped when he has the least shape for me today. Really got a good class, guys. Congratulations.
Results on Class 2. First place, J.C. Inskeep. Second place, Preston Clark. Third place, Elizabeth Schubel. Fourth place, Delana Bryant. And fifth place, Desmond Grogan. Reading down your program, it is 4, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Our next class in the show ring is Class 3. Those lambs weigh between 109 and 113. If we could get Class 4 to the middle of the barn, we need Morgan Williams, Caroline Clark, Madison Peterson, Delaney Clark, and Morgan Williams.
Well, I think a really competitive set of lambs on the top end of this class. This trio on the top end pretty well dominate this thing in terms of quality. Young lady's ewe lamb, it's going to win the class. Just has the advantage in squareness out to her loin edge. She's longer hip. She ties in square to her pin set when you get out behind her. Love that one in terms of touch and handle. I just wish she's one that's still open just a little more to her pin set when I got right behind her. The weather that's going to come second has that advantage. He's bigger and bolder out of his hip when you get into him. Love this guy in terms of one who's just freaky racked on the backside of his shoulder. He gets just a little bit shelly right to his loin edge. He's one that needs just a little bit more time when you get into him. Set him in motion and he drops in his pin set and gets shorter and rounder out of his hip. Love the ewe lamb in third in terms of one who's really, really radical up through her neck. She's got great, great shape on her top side. And then you get back to her hip and she just runs out of gas. She's shallow or twisted. She's one to me that just doesn't have the power when you get down in the lower part of her skeleton in relation to the shape she's got up high. The blue sheep, not a bad sheep, sweetie. He's one that needs to go to a lot heavier weight to get that guy ready. He's crazy long-topped. He's freak-necked when you get into him. Got a great touch in terms of hide. He just needs to be setting at 150 to get him to where he needs to be. Lammon's going to come next. Pretty green-topped when you get a hold to that one. You can see it doesn't tie quite as nice to its hip loin. Gets a little more set to its rear leg than it needs. Just got to power that one up just a little bit. Same story goes for the lamb here on the end. That's one that still needs time. That one's got some muscle shape. That's not the issue with that lamb. Just doesn't tie square enough through its loin edge, wants to taper to its pin set. Here's one that just needs more time on feet. Great class, guys. Congratulations.
Results on Class 3. First place, Madison Stolberg. Second place, Gracie Stevens. Third place, Larrick Allen. Fourth place, Morgan Williams. Fifth place, Madison Peterson. And sixth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 2, 1, 5, 3, 4, and 6. Our next class in the ring is going to be Class 4. Those lambs weighing 114 to 199. Or 119, excuse me. 114 to 119. If we could get Class 5 to the middle of the barns, we need Peyton Davis, Delana Bryant, Emerson Harden, Annalise Anabrizi, and Caroline Clark.
I think a pretty logical placing in this class, and yet a set that gets pretty tight on the top pair. That we're going to favor the young ladies lamb. It's going to win the class. I think there's just more future in this guy. He's quite a bit higher cutability when you get into him. He's considerably leaner down through his chest. He's better as he ties from his elbow into his forerib. That guy is just a freak in terms of length of body. Got a super square top setting in him. Still needs a little time, and part of that's just because he's got a shot more frame when you get into him, but his advantage when we get him on the rail over the lamb in second is going to be pretty significant out here. The lamb in second is massive. We can all see that. He's the better ribbed one of the pair on the top end. I like this guy in terms of one who's ultra fresh when I get into him. For me, he's got just a touch of sponginess to his handle. I'd like to firm him up in his touch. You set him in motion and back off the brace of this guy. He gets deeper chested and plainer fronted when you get into him. Just got to bake him a little bit later, maturing right through the front third of his skeleton. The white face cross is going to come third. That thing is a freak now. Just in terms of length of body, got a great touch in terms of handle when you get on top of him. Here's one that needs to be just square to his loin itch. He's much like the sheep before that you had. He just needs more time. He's cool-fronted. He's one when you set him in motion, he just gets too wound up in his top. And I think that's between his ears more than anything else. That sheep's got potential, particularly for his breed composition. Just needs a little more time. I like the lamb that's going to come next just in terms of body and moderation. Squareness of hip gets him in trouble. He wants to roach in his top. He gets too A-frame through his loin edge. And then we balance with one. Sweetheart, that one's big-butted. Got some hip in him, and I appreciate that. Tremendously long-bodied. He's one that he hits me as one who maybe has been off feed or a little dehydrated at this point. Gets really, really shelly-topped when you get a hold of him. Touch finer boned, finer skeletoned. What a fabulous class. Congratulations.
Results on Class 4. First place, Caroline Clark. Second place, Delaney Clark. Third place, Morgan Williams. Fourth place, Morgan Williams. And fifth place, Madison Peterson. Reading down your program, it is 4, 1, 5, 2, and 3. Our next class in the show ring is Class 5. Those lambs weigh between 120. Oh, they just weigh 120. Following this class, we'll pick our lightweight champion and reserve champion market lamb. Just a reminder to all the youth, if you are done showing your sale animal, please go up to the top barn and get your picture taken by Wolf's Auction. They have the paperwork. You fill it out and you'll turn it in back to them. So if you're done showing the lamb you're going to sell on Saturday, they're outside the barn here. Can you wave again? Go see those two ladies and they'll get your picture taken.
Real competitive pair of lambs on the top end of the class. The young lady's lamb, it's going to win the thing, just excels in terms of rack shape. This one's one that's crazy long-topped when you get into him. Almost out of proportion, he's so long-bodied when you get into this guy because his length of hip isn't proportional to his total hind saddle length when you get into this guy. But, man, that guy's big-butted and stout when you get into him. He's one that just balances better, particularly when you set him in motion over the lamb. It's going to come second. The lamb that's in second's one who probably is a notch square right to its loin edge, and I do appreciate that about this ewe lamb. She's one that's got a big top laid in her, got great shape from behind. She's one that gets a little heavier chested when you get right into her and you get off the brace of this one. Set her in motion, and she just gets too wound up in her spine. She can't handle her rear two when you set her on the go, but that's a really good pair on the top end. Lammett's going to come third. One that doesn't show the best for the young lady out here, but that one's big-hipped. He's got some stout in him. We just got to square him up on his top side. He's just not big and bold enough in his rack. He's not full and square enough to his loin edge. Young person's lamb is going to come next. Another one that I appreciate. Maybe squarer top than the one that precedes. Probably better in his chest floor than the one in front. But this guy really runs out of gas and tapers to his pin set when you get behind him. Doesn't have quite enough forearm, enough bone and skeleton for me. Just got a green one on the end. Sure, nothing wrong with that sheep. He's got a big upper hip when you get into that one. Pretty round in his cage. Here's one that just gets way too washed in its top when you get into him. We just got to freshen that guy in terms of his handle. Change him as he ties from his hip into his loin edge. Wonderful class, guys. Congratulations.
Results on Class 5. First place, Peyton Davis. Second place, Caroline Clark. Third place, Annalise Ababrizi. Fourth place, Emerson Harden. And fifth place, Delana Bryant. Reading down your program, it is 1, 5, 4, 3, and 2. Now we're going to pick our champion and reserve champion lightweight market lamb. So if we can have our first and second place lambs back into the show ring from Class 1 to Class 5. Our champion lightweight sponsor is the Lambert family, and our reserve champion lightweight sponsor is Danielle Hamilton. If we could get Class 6 in the middle of the barn. Class 6 is Marshall Stevens, Larrick Allen, and Larrick Allen.
Well, before we select your lightweight and reserve lightweight champions, let's give the kids a big round of applause, if you would. A nice set of these lambs in the first 5 classes, and sure no disappointment out here. I like this set quite well when you get into them, and I realize we're looking at lambs that still have some time to really get to where some of them need to be, and that's kind of part of the game out here in this lightweight division or any lightweight division evaluating stock. I think, though, when you get them out here, there's a couple of different kinds, and I don't apologize for that. It's just kind of how it shakes out sometimes in limited numbers of classes. Yeah, I like them crazy muscled. I like them huge racked. I like them to be big butted and big hipped and have some bone and some stout to them. But they've got to have some rib shape to go along with that. They got to still be attractive enough in their kind. For me, obviously, loin edge becomes really important, and I think that's where the champion and reserve separate themselves. I think 2 sheep that fit together quite well, just in terms of power and mass. Still really good when you get your hands on them in terms of sheep that are open up in their top. They're good in their rib and still have some look and kind to them. Be my pleasure to go name them your champion and reserve lights. Give the kids another nice round of applause, if you would.
Your champion lightweight market lamb was exhibited by Madison Stolberg. And our reserve champion lightweight is exhibited by Gracie Stevens. Congratulations. So our next class in the show ring is class 6. These lambs weigh between 122 and 123. If we can get class 7 to the middle of the barn, we need Kendall Abrizi, Carter Matthews, Elizabeth Schubel, Tanner Summers, Larrick Allen, and Preston Clark. And then we need Trenton Latham and Aubrey Lambert to the middle of the barn too for class 7.
real logical placing on this trio of lambs as we start into the second division. I think the young lady's lamb that wins, we can all see, just has such an advantage in length of hind saddle and length of body. When you get into this one, you get your hands on this weather, and he's so much fresher topped. He's fuller and squarer out to his loin edge in the weather in second. Then you set him in motion, and he's just much, much more flexible in his spine. He's considerably better in terms of tallness of front, and one that's got some versatility in terms of his endpoint market weight. Whether the second's bigger butted, there's no doubt about that. That guy is monster hip when you get into him. Love the natural width of base in this guy. He's really good in terms of his rib shape. You get your hands on him, and he's of a good percentage the shortest hind saddle lamb in the class. We got to hook him different through his hip loin. Got to change his movement when you get him out here. Tuck him in his chest floor just a touch. Longer body, more extended ewe lamb, it's going to come third. She's the one, though, that probably handles with the least true shape coming out of the backside of her shoulder and into her loin edge. Tapers a touch much too back to her pin set. Set her in motion, and those rear legs just kind of don't let her get around the ring quite as efficiently and comfortably as we need. Good class to start the second division.
Results on Class 6. First place, Larrick Allen. Second place, Marshall Stevens. Third place, Larrick Allen. Reading down your program, it is 2, 1, and 3. Our next class in the ring is Class 7. These lambs weigh between 124 and 125. If we could get Class 8 to the middle of the barn, we need Jessica Saylor, Caroline Clark, Jana Inskeep, Caroline Clark, and Preston Clark. Just a reminder to all the youth, once you're done showing your market lamb that you're going to sell on Saturday, please go up to the top barn, and Wolf Auctions is up there to take your picture. They have your sale sheets. You fill them out, and you turn them back into them. So once you're done showing your lamb that you're going to sell on Saturday, go up to the top barn, get your picture taken, and fill out your sale sheets and turn them back into them.
Well, a real intriguing set of lambs in this class, and lots of different shapes and kinds out here. And as I said in some of the shows earlier this week, I don't know that we got the bulletproof one in this class, but we sure have some quality out here. Lamb that's going to win the class wins it just in terms of sheer power. There's not anything close to this guy in terms of bone, in terms of hip, in terms of stifle, in terms of just sheer mass on his top side. I'll admit to you, he's one that's got too much chest floor when you get in him. For me, we got to tuck that chest up in this guy. I got to hook him just a little neater right through his hip loin. But we get him on the rail, and it's just lights out. It's not close in this set. Lammett's going to come second. That's the freshest. That's the best handling one. That's the one who's ultra smooth. That's the lightest muscled one in the top 7. Got to have more power in that sheep to let him win the class. You've done a phenomenal job feeding that sheep. He's the right kind. We just got to have more power. Just got to have more power. Got more power in the lamb in third. That guy's crazy rack. Now, I love his rack. But you can see as he gets to his loin, he just runs out of gas. He's still not square enough to his loin edge. Tapers too much back to his pin set when you get into him. He just needs more time. That sheep's got the pieces to be okay. Set him in motion. He rolls a little more out of his hip because he's got a little shorter hip and a little more set to his rear leg. Quality sheep, though. Blue sheep. If I was feeding one for about November, December, that's the one of the group I'd feed. He's the wicked cool one. He's got the look. He's got the hip. He's just green as grass today, and that's his problem. If he's squared up in his loin edge, I could start him. But he doesn't, and so he's one of those that just needs time. Got a nice lamb coming next that's got some muscle shape. That one's got a big old top laid in her, and I like her from that standpoint. Problem is when you get to this view, she's much deeper chested than she is back in her rear flank. Her underlying design's not right. She gets too short and round out of her hip. But that sheep's got crazy muscle. If you could give a little shot of the muscle of that one on the one that was second, you guys would be quite the pair. Got a nice lamb a young lady's got coming next. Just not fresh enough, sweetheart. If we could square her through her top, if we could open that one up to its loin edge, we could move that one up. I like the young man's lamb that's going to come next. He's just too green top today. He doesn't have enough squareness out to his edge. But that one's got the pattern and look that you sure appreciate. Ultra tall fronted. Same thing here. Not a bad sheep. That one's pretty square on coming out of his rack, but you can see you get back into his loin edge and he just flattens too much. He needs a lot more days on hard feed.
Results on Class 7. First place, Aubrey Lambert. Second place, Carter Matthews. Third place, Kendall Aberbreezy. Fourth place, Elizabeth Schubel. Fifth place, Tanner Summers. Sixth place, Larrick Allen. Seventh place, Preston Clark. And eighth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Our next class in the ring is Class 8. These lambs weigh 128. If we can get Class 9 to the middle of the barn, we need Chloe Mathias, Jordan Inskeep, Trenton Latham, Emerson Harden, Peyton Davis, and Ella Jacobs.
Well, I'll be honest with you, one of the more challenging classes to put together that we've had tonight. And the problem is you'd like to take pieces off of either the first or the second lamb and combine it with the third one to get the sheep that you really want. And that's kind of the problem we've got in this class when you get them out here. Young lady's lamb that's going to win the class is more like the lamb in second. You say, well, can follow that. I can see that. The difference is her ewe lamb is leaner, is particularly higher cutability when you get into that one. She's shallower chested. She's square and handles nicer down her top. She's so much more elevated through her chest floor when you get into her, and that's the big advantage. Sure, I love the south end of the weather that's standing second when he's headed north. That guy's big-butted and really heavy-boned and big-footed. But he's got everything in the front end that matches his back end. He's got too much shoulder. He's got too much chest. He is a good margin the softest handling lamb in the entire class out here, and that's what makes this thing a little challenging. Partner, you got a good one. He's just not ready. That guy is crazy long-bodied. He's freak-necked. He's got a super touch to him. If he had a loin edge, he'd win this thing, and I'd never think about it. Never think about it. But he's washed in his top tonight, and he's just not there. If he was, it's over. It's over. It's the right kind. Top's just not there today. Like the young lady's lamb's coming next. This one handles really good when you get him on the brace. This ewe lamb's one is big and bold in her top. She's got enough loin edge when you get into her. It's when you back off of her and set her in motion she gets in trouble. She just doesn't have enough in the seat of her pants when you get out behind her. Gets a little tangled up in terms of how she handles her rear leg. Whether it's going to come next, we can see this guy's stouter. There's no doubt about that. He's got plenty of stout to him. Structurally is where he gets in trouble. He's just too high in his spine. He's just not comfortable. He's obviously got a little injury to that foot or his stifle when you set him in motion. We make him sound, he moves way up.
Results on Class 8. First place, Caroline Clark. Second place, Jana Inskeep. Third place, Preston Clark. Fourth place, Jessica Saylor. Fifth place, Caroline Clark. Reading down your program, it is 4, 5, 2, 1, and 3. Our next class in the ring is Class 9. These lambs weigh 129 to 131. If we can get Class 10 to the middle of the barn, we need Madison Stolberg, Delaney Clark, Trenton Latham, Chloe Kaiholtz, JC Inskeep, Kaylee Matthews, and Jessica Saylor.
Well, much like the last class, you got a little give and take in this thing. And without a doubt, the lamb that's going to win the class does so. But just in terms of sheer muscularity, that is way the biggest hipped one. He's got the most shape on the backside of his rack. He handles the freshest when you get him out here. Set him in motion, and he's not my kind. I'll just be honest with you. He's too short and round out of his hip. He gets his rear leg up under him too far. He's got way too much chest when you get right in the front of this guy. Get him on the rail, and it's over. He dominates from a muscularity standpoint. If the ewe lamb was better chested, if the ewe lamb was square to her loin edge, if the ewe lamb could move off her rear leg, she wins. Even though she's not nearly as heavy muscled, because she's better balanced. She's got a nicer touch to her when you get into her. But today she's got those issues, so she just gets overpowered because I don't have an upgrade over the problems I've gotten won. The lamb that's going to come third, if I could just fix him right in his hip-loin junction, then he can move up in the class. That one's got a big forearm. He's really heavy bone. He's a little bit stale when you get your hands on him today, but that one's got a big old monster hip setting in him. He's got some pieces I like better than the two lambs that win the class. Lamb that's going to come next, the young lady's got. That lamb's really got a good hide on it when you get into this one. He's ultra-thin hided. You like this one from a cutability perspective. He just runs out of gas when you get into the back of him. We got to square him to his dock. We got to level that one in his rump and change his rear leg just a little bit. Young man's got one that's better designed, and I appreciate that. And I thought about moving that sheep up. Problem is when you get your hands on the top of this one, he's too A-frame through his rack. There's just not enough real power in that one. He's starting to lay some cover on already. We got to lean that one up and change that one from that perspective. The Dorper Weather, I like that one in terms of hip. One of the better hipped ones in the entire class. He's got a big loin setting in him, and I appreciate that. Only problem is, sweetie, he's a little bit me. He's been on the feed bucket just a little bit too long. We got to lean that one up. If he was leaner, he probably moves up at least 4 holes.
Results on Class 9. First place, Ella Jacobs. Second place, Peyton Davis. Third place, Jordan Inskeep. Fourth place, Emerson Harden. Fifth place, Trenton Latham. Sixth place, Chloe Mathias. Reading down your program, it is 6, scratch, 3, 5, 4, 2, and 1. Our next class in the ring is Class 10. These lambs weigh 132 to 135. Following this class, we'll pick our medium weight champion and reserve champion lambs.
Testing 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I'm Josh Rubio, Wolf Auctions. I just want to remind everybody about our auction on Saturday. All these market animals will go for sale on Saturday. All the sheep, goats, turkeys, rabbits, all starts at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you. If you see a Wolf Auction sign floating around here, if you tag yourself, take a picture with a selfie, you'll be automatically entered to win a Blackstone grill and a bundle of meat. So just take a picture and put it on Facebook, and you get a Blackstone grill and a bundle of meat, a chance to win that there. We do a daily prize every day for everybody that takes a picture with their with the sign. Tomorrow is a Southbound giveaway. You're getting a gift card up here to Southbound for today's drawing. We'll draw it tomorrow, but you'll get a Southbound gift card. Free to spend as you please up there at Southbound. But appreciate each and every one of you. Look forward to seeing you out here on Saturday at the sale. Thank you and have a good night. And everybody, all the 4-H'ers, when you finish up, I think they've already directed you, but just head to the top of the barn here when you know which animal you're selling. Kelly's up there, and so is Casey up there. They'll be happy to give you your picture. Get your picture.
So my name is Caroline, and on behalf of the youth in the sheep barn, we would like to present you with this plaque. We appreciate all of your support towards us, and we're hoping to have a great show and sale. Thank you.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That's probably the most challenging class to place tonight. And the challenge is you just like to take the top five lambs and come up with one. And you can't do that, obviously. The young lady's lamb that's going to win the class wins it off the brace. Off the brace, that sheep's the best one out here. There's no doubt about that. He's squarer hipped than the lamb that's going to come second. He's squarer and fuller out the backside of his shoulder. He's easily the freshest to his loin edge. For me, he gets awfully plain right through the front third of his skeleton when you get into him. He is too mature about his skull for me. I'd like to make him more immature in his look about his head and his front end. But I think there's just too much quality in that guy. just in terms of rib shape, in terms of squareness on his top side. I really like the Weather in second. He is more immature as I study him about his front end. I like that guy again. He's the second squarest topped one in the class. Again, for me, though, one that when you set him in motion, drops in his pin set. We got to square him to his dock just a little bit. Not so much on the brace, but when you set him in motion's where he gets in trouble. Problem Sheep's the third one. If I could fix one thing on her, sweetie, she wins it, and it's not close. That's the best hided one. That's the best racked one. That's the coolest one when you get right out behind her. But her loin edge isn't there. She's just too washed in her top. If we could fix that, she's a rock star from that standpoint. And so it's just kind of one of those things you get into. The other Problem Sheep in the class is this one. Probably the freshest handling one in the class, and I like him from that standpoint. That guy's got a monster hip when you get out behind him. Really one that's intriguing in terms of his rib shape, but he's just a little bit too frail in his kind. He's one that's too fine-boned. He's too small-footed when you get into him. We got to pop more forearm in that guy. I got to make him a lot sounder off of those rear two when I set him in motion for him to win the class. Best looking sheep in the entire drive's this one standing still, and I question what to do with this guy. He is level topped, he's square hipped, he's freak necked, he's got all the pieces, and then we set him in motion and he just gets way too narrow underneath. We got to power him up from the ground all the way through his entire skeleton to give him enough power. He looks phenomenal when you get him parked, gal. It's a nice sheep to be this far down in the drive. Lamb, it's going to come next. Really long-bodied, super extended one. That one's just got to be wider based. We got to have more power in that one. Got a nice lamb. The young man's got this ewe-lamb's one that's really long-bodied. She's got some depth of body. She's just too flat, and as a result, she doesn't have near enough shape on her top side. Nice job, guys. Interesting class.
Results on Class 10. First place, Delaney Clark. Second place, J.C. Inskeep. Third place, Madison Stolberg. Fourth place, Kaylee Matthews. Fifth place, Chloe Kaiholtz. Sixth place, Jessica Saylor. And seventh place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, it is 3, 1, 7, 5, 2, 4, and 6. Now we're going to pick our medium weight champion and reserve champion. Those lambs were from Class 6 to Class 10. If we can get Class 11 to the middle of the barn, we need Braylon Kaiholtz, Jessica Saylor, Preston Clark, Jana Inskeep, and Caroline Clark. Our champion middleweight award was sponsored by Danielle Hamilton, and our reserve champion middleweight award was sponsored by the Trish Mills team.
Well, I tell you, this is what makes judging stock shows a lot of fun. You get into an interesting set of sheep, and obviously, I'm not much of a poker player. I kind of give my face away a little bit when I look at them and study them. I'll be honest with you. Every sheep in this division, I'd like to change something about. That's what makes judging stock shows fun. That's why a different person comes to the microphone. They're going to be placed a different way, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. I think the issue out here is freshness, squareness to their loin edge, and design and pattern and chest floor. Muscle's not an issue in this class. Yeah, there's differences in muscle, but muscle doesn't determine this thing. Chest floor determines this thing. Rib shape determines this thing. Soundness determines this thing. And just how they're made and function when you set them into motion. And I realize it's a market show, but you still got to have function and form into things. And then we've got little bitties out here showing some of them, and that makes a big difference too. You know, if you got some of these big old burly gals and young men out here on the heads of some of them, things change a little bit. And I mean, that's just kind of part of it. So you try to evaluate. I prefer to evaluate the sheep on the move because that takes the brace out of it. And that's why I ask you to get off the brace sometimes. I want to see how they're doing it. Champion Lamb is the squarest to his loin edge. He's the freshest when I get a hold of him. He's one of the bigger butted ones when you get out here. I'd change some things about him. The question is, who do you make reserved? You've got one who's better designed, better chest floored, better in terms of just look and balance, much sounder when you get them out here. The other one in contention is monster butted and huge topped and crazy racked, but the deepest chested one and the one that's got the most challenges off of his hind leg. Interesting set, guys. It's been my pleasure. I congratulate all of you. Give them a nice round of applause. I'll get you 2 champions.
Your champion middleweight lamb is shown by Delaney Clark, and your reserve champion middleweight is shown by Aubrey Lambert. Our next class in the ring is class 11. These lambs weigh 136 to 139. If we could get class 12 to the middle of the barn, we need Madison Stolberg, Jessica Saylor, Trenton Latham, Ella Jacobs, Delaney Bryant, and Jessica Saylor. Just a reminder to all the youth, if you're done showing your lambs tonight and that lamb's going to be sold in the sale on Saturday, please go up to the top barn so Wolf's Auction can take your picture. They have the sale sheets. You fill them out and you turn them back into them. So if you're done showing your lamb tonight and that lamb's going to be auctioned off on Saturday, please go up to the top barn, get your photo taken, and fill out your sale sheet.
I think a real logical placing in this class. A young lady's kind of happy-looking lamb that wins the thing. Just dominates in terms of top side shape. He's bigger hipped. He's got more loin edge when you get into him. He is the heavier bone, stouter featured one that's better in terms of his rib shape. I'd elevate him just a nickel right through his chest floor, but that one pretty well dominates this thing. Longer body, more extended one going to drop second. That one just runs out of gas back to his loin edge. I love his look on profile. He's really got a cool pattern to him. Sets up under himself just a little bit on terms of rear leg design. Gets a nickel flatter in terms of forearm shape and forerib, but a pretty nice one. I like the lamb in third just in terms of kind. Super level topped, long bodied, cool fronted one. One of the better patterned ones in the entire drive. Just doesn't have enough power in him when you get into this one. I think if we could get him on up to about $150, that one becomes even more competitive. Like the young lady's lamb, it's going to come next. Unfortunately, one of the staler handling lambs in the drive. Here's the one that's got the most challenges right down through his chest floor, and I'd like to change him from that perspective. Lamb, it's going to balance the class big top. That one's got some shape coming out of the backside of its shoulder. Here's the one that's got the most challenges in terms of rear leg soundness and rump design. We got to make that one a lot sounder and more functional in terms of its movement through its skeleton.
Results on Class 11. First place, Caroline Clark. Second place, Braylon Kaiholtz. Third place, Preston Clark. Fourth place, Jana Inskeep. Fifth place, Jessica Saylor. Reading down your program, it is 2, 5, 3, 4, and 1. Our next class in the ring is Class 12. These lambs weigh 140 to 141. If we can get Class 13 to the middle of the barn, we need Larrick Allen, Delana Bryant, and Marshall Stevens. Just a reminder to the youth, we do have our champion and reserve champion bred and owned market lambs. We'll pick that after we pick our grand and reserve and our Chestnut Hill. And then all the youth can participate in the Chestnut Hill class. You just have to be sale eligible. And if you won it in the past, you can participate again.
Really got a high-quality pair on the top end of the class. I think the young lady's lamb over there on the back side, it's going to win the thing. It's just simply the fresher one when you get your hands on it. That one's better balanced through its chest floor. It's more elevated through the point of its shoulder. That guy is just perfectly square out to his loin edge and really handles with a tremendous hip when you get into him. Still got the right sweep to his underline when you get into him. More expressive lamb going to come second. That one is massive in terms of expression through his rack. Big monster bold hip in that one. Here's one that gets just a nickel round, a little harsh in terms of its handling quality for me. We got to change the lower shoulder and front end in that one just a little bit. And if he had that, then he's a rock star because muscle shape, he's phenomenal out here. Lamb that's going to come third is the biggest top sheep in the class. I said it. That's the biggest top sheep in the class. That thing is monster-backed when you get a hold of it. If he was just squared to his rump, sweetie, that sheep could contend to win the thing. Handles really well, big shape. It's just structure gets that one in trouble a little bit out of his hip and his chest. But you have done a phenomenal job feeding that sheep. You should be really proud. Lammett's going to come next. Another one that's got some muscle shape when you get on the top side. This is one that gets, again, a little bit plainer and rounder out of its hip. It tapers to its pin set just a little bit behind. We got to power that one up on the south end just a little bit to match the power on the top side. Young lady sheep, it's going to come next. If he just hooks smoother through his hip loin, we got to power that one up to his loin edge a little bit, but has a tremendous advantage in leanness and cutability over the young man's lamb. It's going to balance. Young man's lamb, sure, a big body, good doing lamb. You fed the fire out of that one, obviously. Little bit like me, though, little on the fat side.
Results on Class 12. First place, Madison Stolberg. Second place, Ella Jacobs. Third place, Jessica Saylor. Fourth place, Jessica Saylor. Fifth place, Delana Bryant. Sixth place, Trenton Latham. Reading down your program, 1, 3, 6, 2, 5, 4. Our next class in the ring is Class 13. These lambs weigh 142 to 144. If we can get Class 14 to the middle of the barn, we need Colby Kaiholtz, Delaney Clark, Aubrey Lambert, and Chloe Koblenz.
Well, I tell you guys, Helen Keller could find this one. This one's a stud that wins this class now. Monster back, big hip, sound, good-legged, freak-necked. That's a good one, gal. Congratulations. Lammett's going to come second. I think logically fits in. Still got a big old back leading this guy. Tremendous hip. He just doesn't have the balance and the quality you see in the class winner. Lammett's going to come third. Still a pretty nice kind of sheep in this class. That one's got a big top when you get into it. Gets a little shelly right to its loin edge. Got to change the front end in that one just a little bit. That one just ran into a killer class, particularly the one on the top end.
Results on Class 13. First place, Larrick Allen. Second place, Marshall Stevens. Third place, Delana Bryant. So our last and final class for tonight is Class 14. These lambs weigh 146 to 147.
Nice set of these heavy lambs out here. I think the young lady's ewe lamb that wins the thing just wins just in terms of standpoint of bone and power and mass. That one is monster racked when you get into it. Love the big old massive hip in that one. You get out behind her, and she's just dominant in terms of mass from behind. I'll admit to you, she's not 12 o'clock right to her loin edge, and that's where I'd like to fix her, and I think that's the difference between her and the lamb in second. Lamb in second is dialed in 12 o'clock. Now, his loin edge is perfect. Problem is he is not heavy enough muscled. For a sheep of this size, he doesn't have enough forearm. He doesn't have enough spread down his top. He doesn't have enough in the seat of his pants. That's a good sheep. Don't get me wrong. It's a good sheep. But for one of that kind of mass and skeleton, we just got to have more power in him because he's got the right look. Got to take some chest out of that guy. Lammett's going to come third, has more shape than the one that precedes. But here's the one to me that just runs into a little bit of issue of being too heavy-fronted and too deep-chested when you get into that one. That is the heaviest condition to the four we've got out here, and I'd like to change him from that standpoint. Young lady's Lammett's going to come next. That one is big back now. She's got a huge top laid in her, big-butted. Set her in motion, though, when she has a little trouble. She's not sound enough behind, but that's a good sheep, sweetie. You should be real proud of that one. Congratulations, guys.
Results on Class 14. First place, Delaney Clark. Second place, Colby Kaiholtz. Third place, Chloe Koblenz. Fourth place, Aubrey Lambert. Next up, we're going to pick our heavyweight champion and our reserve champion heavyweight market lamb. Those lambs were in Class 11 to Class 14. Our champion heavyweight award is sponsored by Muddy River Farms, the Grossnickel family, and our reserve champion heavyweight award is sponsored by Koblenz Trucking. If we could get our lightweights, Madison Solberg and Gracie Stevens, our middleweights, Delaney Clark and Aubrey Lambert, ringside. So after this class, we'll pick our grand champion and reserve champion, Market Lamb.
Well, we drop in these heavyweight class winners, and I tell you, it's that's a phenomenal set of sheep. You guys should be really, really proud of the set you've put together for the fair here today. Give these kids a nice round of applause, if you would. You know, it's Miss Kelly said they got a little fire in them. They got a little spunk in them at this point, and you know, you're looking at sheep that are pushing 135 plus, and a lot of them got 60-pound kids on the head of them, and that makes it pretty tough for these little guys. And so my hat's off to you guys. Just in terms of getting these big beasts shown, you've done a phenomenal job from that standpoint. I like all the class winners extremely well, and taking nothing away from the lambs that are dropping over there in second. There's some really good sheep over there, and I am comfortable. When you loaded that second line sheep over there at home a few days ago, you never intended to be standing second at Frederick Fair, and I understand that. That's just kind of part of how it works in terms of the whole package. I'll be honest with you, and you get them out here, it's a two-horse show. It's two sheep that sort themselves right to the top real quick. The difference is your champion is the most athletic, the most natural in terms of true meat animal shape. The one that I just love in terms of that cocky look that he's got when you get him out here. The other lamb probably is a better in terms of underlying shape. He's got a little more belly. He's got a little more feel. He's got a little more rib to him, but he's not as good in his shoulder. He's not nearly as bold in his forearm. He doesn't have that true rack power that we see in our class winner or your champion heavyweight. Great set, guys. I'm proud of all of you. You should be proud as well. Give them another round of applause, and I get your champion and reserve heavyweight.
Our champion heavyweight market lamb was shown by Lyric Allen, and our reserve champion was shown by Madison Stolberg. Before we pick our grand champion lamb, if we can have a representative from Kreitz Auto and Kreitz Customs, and then the representative from the Great Frederick Fair and Chestnut Hill Farm and Garden.
Test 1, 2. Again, boys and girls, if you have not got your animals registered for the sale yet, go up here and see Emily and she got up there. Emily and Kelly are up there. Go up there and see them with your animal. Get your picture taken for the online catalog for the fair. Again, if you have decided on which market animal you're going to sell, go see Emily and Kelly up there.
Thank you, sir. All right. Thanks over there.
So we just wanted to thank you all on behalf of the youth and the sheep.
You got to talk right into it.
On behalf of the youth sheep barn, we wanted to thank you all for helping us and sponsoring us. It's been a lot of help with all the new stuff in the barn, and I just wanted to thank you.
All right. You want to do Kreitz? Talk louder. You're yelling at your sister. Just yell into her.
We wanted to thank Kreitz Auto also on behalf of the youth in the sheep building because they have done so much for us. They've sponsored so much, and it's just been so much of a help in the sheep building, getting all this new stuff and getting new pens. It's just been amazing. Thank you. Chestnut Hill Farm and Market.
Miss Jackie, yep.
Chestnut Hill Farm and Market.
Yep. You walk over there.
They want us to go where?
Okay.
What?
Miss Jackie, we want to thank you too. For sponsoring it.
And we wanted to thank Miss Jackie and we wanted to thank Chestnut Hill Farm and Market for helping us and sponsoring us. It's been a lot of help, definitely. And we just wanted to thank you.
After our show's done, we want to do a big group photo with all the kids. So stay in your blue shirts and don't walk off. Okay. So our champion lightweight lamb was Madison Stolberg. Our reserve champion lightweight lamb was Gracie Stevens. Our middleweight lamb was Delaney Clark. Our reserve champion middleweight was Aubrey Lambert. Our heavyweight was Lyric Allen. And our reserve heavyweight was Madison Stolberg. Give these kids a round of applause. They worked hard all week long. Not only here at the fair, but also at home. We also want to thank all of our sponsors this week. Thank you to Farmers Transportation, Dave and Raina Farmer, Leslie Harshman, Karen and Jeff McAfee, the Trish Mills team, the Lambert family, Danielle Hamilton, Muddy Rivers Farm, the Grossnickel family, Koblenz Trucking, Ginger Green, Kevin and Missy Donley, South Mountain Collision and Auto, the Keeney family, Greenbrier Acres, the Fuss and Fogel family, JWS Salon, Jody McKenzie, Sunset Springs Farm, the Latham family, Clark Family Farm and Fibers, the Clark family, Orchard View Farms, the Neff family, Scenic View Orchard, the Miller family, the Rowe family, Gary and Nancy Keller, Lobdell Dorpers, Stolberg Landscaping, Sheepman Supplies, Kreitz Auto and Kreitz Custom, Wolf Auctions, and the Great Frederick Fair. If we can give all those sponsors a round of applause. They've supported these kids all week long, so thank you to them. And also a big thank you to our judge, Mr. Terry Burks. He's from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He's a retired professor of English Studies from Cheerfunk University in China. He's a former owner of Dynasty Club Lambs and Market Goats. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in animal science from Western Kentucky University and has judged over 1,100 shows in 43 states. So if we can give him another round of applause for coming and judging our show and working these kids all week long. Our Grand Champion Market Lamb Award is sponsored by Farmers Transportation, Dave and Raina Farmer, And a Reserve Champion Market Lamb Award is sponsored by Leslie Harshman. Can I do one more announcement? After we pick our champion and reserve champion, we're going to do the Chestnut Hill. We're going to let all the kids who want to participate in that come in. The Chestnut Hill is basically the third best lamb of the show. But any of the youth that is sale eligible come Saturday can participate in that.
Well, I tell you, what an incredible night we've had, and I know we still got several little things to go through tonight. But you know, when you come down to selecting your champion overall market lamb, it's a pretty big deal. When I got here the other day, Miss Kelly told me, she said, "You got your work set out for you this year, buddy, because there's some good sheep here," and she sure didn't mislead me in the least. A really phenomenal set, just in terms of sheep with power and freshness and quality when you get into them. I know there's some variation out here. I don't apologize for that. It's kind of like I told somebody one time, you know, sometimes when you have limited numbers in classes, it's like going to the prom. Okay? I go to the prom without a date, but I want to dance with somebody. Well, sometimes you got to dance with the fat, bald-headed guy if you want to dance. And that's kind of what we got out here a little bit. There's some variation, but I don't apologize for that. I think there's quality all the way through this thing, and it's certainly been a lot of fun to sort through them. I think in terms of picking a champion in reserve, several things you could do out here. I think each one of these division winners sure have some quality out here. As we commented, you know, some of them got little younger children on them, and that makes it harder to evaluate them because it's just harder for those little guys to show these big things. And so you have to weigh and balance that just a little bit. But I tell you, young people, you should be really proud. You should be proud of yourself to get this far. Yeah, give them a nice round of applause. Because I guarantee you every other child in this barn with a blue shirt on tonight would trade places with you right now. You with me? You're the 6 that are out here, but there's a whole passel load of your buddies back there in the barn. It'd sure like for you to be out there and them be out here. So remember that. Remember the fact that you're very fortunate and you're very blessed that tonight the fat, bald-headed guy happened to like the one you had, and that's kind of just part of it. Now, does that mean he's the best one? Who knows? Who knows? You know, it takes a good sheep. Takes your night. It's got to be your night, and then you got to hope that the judge agrees with you, and that's all part of it. But you know, the thing I hope you understand, and I said this last night in the goat show. We'll long soon forget who was champion. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Can anybody tell me who won this thing last year? See? Somebody probably does. I can remember the sheep quite well, but anyway. See, what I'm getting at is it's not about the sheep. It's about you. This program isn't about livestock. This program is about youth development. There is no better program in the world than the Youth Livestock Barn. Those of you around ringside that aren't involved in, give that a round of applause. Those of you around ringside who aren't involved in this, if you've got kids, this is where you ought to have them. I don't care if it's a sheep barn, the goat barn, the hog barn, the cattle barn. This is where you raise kids. Kids that make a difference. And it intrigues me, you know, I'm going to get on my soapbox. I got a big soapbox, but I'll share it a little bit with you. You know, you turn on the news today and it's ugly. Where's the news tonight? Why aren't we videoing and showing these kids that are working their tail off to make them what they are? This is what makes America great. This is what these kids really work so hard to do. And I hope you young people understand that. Now, promise me one thing. I'm not just talking to the 6 of you. I'm talking to everybody that's got a blue shirt on. When this is over, you got more than just the responsibility of congratulating the winner. You hear me? When this is over, you find mom, dad, you find grandma, grandpa, you find whoever it is that makes a way for you to play this game, and you give them a big hug around the neck, because it will mean more to them than you'll ever understand. Okay, you thank them. You find Miss Kelly and all her crew that put on this show, and you thank them. You with me? Because that's what it's about. They don't do it for money. If they did it for money, everybody'd want to run a show. Don't nobody want to run a show because it's a lot of work. But you thank those people who make a way for you because it's important. It's really, really important to understand that. Should be thankful for a couple of other things. Be thankful you're born in a country where you can pursue your dreams and whatever your passion in life is. Because I'm telling you, I spent 5 years in a country where every child in that country would trade places with you in a moment. Because they don't have livestock programs. They start the school in China at 6 o'clock in the morning. And they finish school at night at 10:30 to 11 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. And they go to school on Sunday until noon. They live at the school. You with me? There is no youth livestock. There is no 4-H. There is no FFA. So be thankful. Be thankful. When people say, what do you want to be in life? What do you want to do with your life? Be proud, whatever it is. Whatever it is, be proud that you live in a country where you can do that. It's been my pleasure, guys. I just love coming to the Great Frederick Fair. This is my 3rd time to judge this thing. Some of you aren't even born the first time I was here. But I loved coming. You guys put on such a great program. So I thank Miss Kelly and all the crew. You guys are just phenomenal. I thank you for the heartfelt gift that you gave Alice and I. And we long remember our memories here. And I'd be remiss once again if I didn't thank my Lord and Savior for giving me the health to play the game that I love to play. It's been my pleasure, guys. I'll go get you champion and reserve. Give these kids a big round of applause.
Your grand champion lamb was shown by Lyric Allen. And a reserve was shown by Madison Stolberg. Next up, we're going to do our Chestnut Hill Lamb. So we'll give these kids a few minutes. Anybody can participate. You just have to be sale eligible for Saturday.
Again, if you're selling a sheep here on Saturday, make sure you go up and see Emily and Kelly. They're up there waiting for you. I know most of you done figured out now which animal you're going to sell. Make sure you go up there and you get your picture taken and you get in the sale lineup for every sheep exhibitor. Please go do that as soon as possible.
Okay. So now this is the Chestnut Hill lamb. This is basically our third best lamb in the show, but we allow all of the youth exhibitors to participate. The Chestnut Hill Farm and Garden is going to give the youth $1,000, the starting bid at $1,000, and then the lamb will be auctioned off Saturday during our beef, sheep, swine, and market goat sale, and that money goes towards a therapeutic riding program. After we pick our Chestnut Hill lamb, we're going to move into our bred and own. Our grand champion lamb was bred and owned, so we're going to pick a reserve bred and owned lamb. Our Chestnut Hill lamb is Delaney Clark. Congratulations. Now we're going to do bred and own. After this, we'll move into our pairs. We'll start with our lightweight. Those lambs had to be in class 1 through 5.
Uh, 4-Hers, FFA members, make sure that when you go and get your picture taken, you also leave your sales sheet. That way they can get your information. Because when they go back and try to identify the picture with the kid, that's a lot of faces for them to sort through. So make sure you give your information up there to the girls getting your picture so they can make sure they get you in the catalog.
Our reserve bred and owned lamb is also our Chestnut Hill. And our champion bred and owned was actually our grand champion lamb by Lyric Allen. So congratulations to those two young ladies. Now we're going to do our pairs. So we're going to start with our lightweight. Those lambs must be in class 1 through 5. The ones that signed up on the board was Caroline Clark, Delana Bryant, and Michaela Eckenrode. After we do our pairs, we're going to do a big group photo. So do not change out of your blue fair shirt and do not leave. We're going to do a big group photo after our pairs. And Andrea is here, our fair photographer. So if you want a banner today, yesterday, Sunday, and you want your photo taken, she's here.
Ringside, does everybody have a pen that we could borrow? We need a pen, like a writing instrument. Oh, thank you.
Caroline, Morgan, Eckenrode, Bryant.
What is it about banners needing?
First place for our lightweight pairs, Caroline Clark. Second place, Morgan Williams. Third place, Michaela Eckenrode. Fourth place, Delana Bryant. Next up is our middleweight. Those lambs must be in class 6 through 10. I have Preston Clark, Caroline Clark, and Lyric Allen. Just a reminder, on Friday morning at 9 o'clock in the show ring is our round robin. Our sheep representative is Mr. Preston Clark. He was our overall showman on Sunday. So you can come down and celebrate and cheer on Preston and hope he beats out the beef sheep, well, the beef swine and market goat showman. And then Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, we're going to start marking your market lambs with your sale numbers. Make sure those lambs are washed and dried. Youth members, do not leave. We're going to do a big group photo in about 5 minutes. You can start making your way down to the show ring if you want to. Results on our pairs. First place, Caroline Clark. Second place, Lyric Allen. Third place, Preston Clark. Our last class of the night is our pair of heavyweights. Those lambs must have been in class 11 through 14. I have Delana Bryant and Jessica Saylor. First place, Jessica Saylor. Second place, Delana Bryant. That concludes our youth shows here at the Great Frederick Fair. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock is our open meat show. If we could get all of our youth still in their blue shirts, down to the show ring for a big group photo. All of the youth still in their light blue shirts, down to the show ring for a photo. If you are selling a market lamb in the sale on Saturday, please bring your lamb up to the top barn to get your photo taken. If anybody would like a picture with the judge, you can come down. And if you got a banner or an award or anything, you can bring that down too.